Earlier, I could get it to work from my undergraduate class differently. I recognize the audio, which is good. We'll see if it actually puts it in. BB. But for some reason, even though the screens are on in the back, see, they are on. That's weird. Myths. Okay. Boom. Yes. Connecting the audio. Excellent. And let me move this a little bit more, see if I can get. I think that was better. That way, if anything on my screen, it should pop up for you guys too, so you'll know where we're at. Let's see, I thought I had something. Maybe not. I'm going there. So while I'm getting this started, tell me what's going on.
Got the first bit, but aren't we talking about seceding again down in Texas?
Yeah, yes, we are. So. Wait. That. According to the class. There we go. There we go. So here's what's going on with that. If you're watching. The border dispute, that was one thing. You have Texas dealing with that. That is conflict. Probably the likes of which what I would tell you is history is a great teacher. Look back at the original Civil War battle of, was it Bunker Hill? Or people out there picnicking and yeah. Like that one. That's how that could go. And that's how amazingly simple it would be for something to happen. That's one person accidentally moving a finger. Gun went off, you know, that kind of thing. Really not.
Yeah, I saw this chart. And it was all of the states that had already promised to send aid in the event that something went down.
Yeah.
And that's us.
Yeah, it's the central interior of the United States. It's balkanization. It's what you look at.
Yeah.
What problems are we dealing with right now? Stuff over in that region. And so it's like, yeah. Yeah, that's not good. That's BRICS versus OPEC kind of thing. If you dig into the dollar, that's might be a good lesson on faith. I said the gold standard in 1970, you guys know about that. Yes, every dollar used to have a very specific amount of gold it was worth. It's always worth that. So it had a real backing. Nixon took us off that in 1970. They started playing with inflation after that, and basically it's been one way of stripping people of resources. That'd be like adding a system where I can play with the actual value of your money without it changing how much you're actually doing your work output, but I can strip away resources and value from it without ever dealing with you. You know, it'd be almost like I'm going to offer you money, and if you spend it, I'm going to charge you money for it. We'll call it credit, right? Both of those are different systems for faith. You have in real faith, and it's like it's got value. If you don't, it's worth exactly the heat it'll put off when you burn it.
Right, and that's exactly what caused the, most of the major, bank crises when people ran on the bank and withdrew everything that they didn't have.
Well, we kind of ran into that a little bit with some COVID stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was Matt's pretty good money, but there was also around banks a couple points in times where different banks were like, we just don't have any money, and it collapsed. That literally was happening. Okay, The oil thing, it's like, that's where our dollar comes from right now. That's why we send money all over the world. It's because the more that they play with our money, the more value our money has. And it's also the standard for how we buy oil across the world. BRICS will take that away. It's basically stuff in probably Chinese yen or whatever it is. And so then our value we have for it, our gold standard is 0. So overnight it's worth nothing, $1,000 for a loaf of bread.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so questions, we'll start there. What types of questions do you guys have?
Why are taxes the way that they are?
Mm,
I spent 4 hours today figuring out my tax return, and I don't know if I committed fraud or not. We'll see.
Because people are comfortable. That's why. If you go back to what started this country, the tax is what started it. What was that tax at? Nowhere near like what it was today. It was like 5%, something like that. We're at like 40. Yeah, it's because people are comfortable. That's why. That's the big thing. Questions related to chapter 1 in the readings. Any questions there? I'm curious because this is one of the things that, so last class, whenever we were in here, most of the time I didn't talk anything about crime prevention, right? What did I talk about? Perspectives to approach classes. Mainly for that is because I want everyone to kind of take that shift where it's like, how much do I have to ask for and what kind of work output gets back? You know, what do I get from that? And we'll show you some of that stuff here in a second in terms of not just like, what do I get back? But as you do it, your understanding of what we're doing will change. And I'll also show you some of that stuff here in a second. It's a hard thing to kind of get everyone into the same intent because we're all maybe different careers, different research interests, different, you know, all those kinds of things. And so long as everyone's got that mindset that one, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of reading. 2, there's a lot of writing. There's going to be some work involved. It's that work that's the value. Sometimes people lose that, particularly in some of the classes that are more theoretically driven, because you can get away with not doing some work. But we'll show you some of that stuff. And if you like it, what you can do is very quickly add in a few elements. Then you got a research project. The term paper in here will kind of do that. You got a research project if you want it, or a capstone. You can then, hey, don't want to do a thesis, don't want a capstone. That kind of thing. From there, questions aspect and other programs. There was always, sometimes you'll have classes that are like this. You walk in and ask, what questions do you have? Very rarely will I see a class that actually spend all class doing that. Because that's kind of hard. Here, the big one is, and it's not just here, I mean, in terms of time, this generation is, did you read? Because time is always your biggest enemy. It's like, it really is. How busy are your guys' lives? Yeah, if I ask you like, how many hours of the day you spend actively up and like moving, probably more than you like, right? Yeah. Like you can let that can get worse, better, stay the same. It's like, as long as you're productive, you can play with that as much as you want. And that's going to be the big take. Reading is the big one. In terms of culture, why that matters so much for us is because you guys seen the Indiana Jones movie? The newest one was The Dial of Destiny.
I have not.
I saw bits and pieces of it when my family was watching it over one of the breaks. I don't remember when it came out. In it, I saw like a 30-second clip, and all I can remember it's like 5 minutes in where he's doing his job, which is this, right? I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna tell you about history. Here's archaeology. Here's the book. Did you read? No. Cal spoon feed it to you, right? That's what he's doing. We need to make that transition to where it's like, okay. Spoon fed, you reading it, yes, that kind of thing. Okay. How many steps beyond that are you? Right? Because this is that transition between cookie cutter undergraduate and this is you, right? That's what this is. So, kind of some length to it, kind of scary. Sometimes that'll scare people, right? So don't get scared. If you have any questions, let me know. It's not anything to worry about. It'll be baked into the program. But it'll be something that it will change you over time. That's gonna be big one. So, did you guys read? Check one.
Chapter 1, yeah.
I'm gonna be real, I did not.
Okay.
Chapter 1.
Okay. The article's online.
I did read those.
I
Okay.
did not read all of them.
Okay.
I don't have my book yet.
There's a lot. Okay, that's good. We can work on that.
It's coming in, but it's
okay.
just not arrived here yet.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, good. What's that will thing? I can spoon feed. Actually, I can get a kid that I'm doing that with. You gotta make sure that they want it first, right? Because if you don't, it's a big mess. It's the same kind of thing. Okay, so I need to check to see. First. This. Did I get that? Yeah, I'm going to check it to just yet. I'm going to check one and make this bigger. Need to bookmark this on this thing, otherwise I will forget that link and I'll lose that email real fast. Okay. First thing. This whole it says part one, first three chapters of 4 chapters. I want to say 4. No, it's just 3. You guys will. Says it's on theory. It's like, yeah, but there's a few different schemas to work with here. They'll provide you with a couple. This one. First, we can start with the definition of theory. What is a theory?
Can we please?
You can read it. I can make it bigger.
It's just the first sentence.
No, I won't make it any bigger. That's about the biggest it'll make it. You can also do this. Share screen. This is screen 1. Apparently I have screen 2, but those aren't working for some reason. All right, yeah. So I can't see it back at it. I like it when everything's right back here. I'm spoiled though. Yeah, you give me a definition for theory.
A set of principles that enable you to evaluate or explain a pattern or phenomenon.
That work. Okay. The biggest thing for like us in this field, it's gonna tie back into that. I think we talked about hard versus soft sciences. Did we talk about that here? Sometimes they'll come up whenever we're talking about theory, because sometimes not. This one, anything that's dealing with people, they'll call them soft sciences. No. Easiest way to think of it is like water. Celsius, 100 degrees it boils, 0 it freezes. It will always do that. Right? I mean, you can play with the pressures and some stuff like that, but as a rule, that is the rule. It will always do that. You know, there are some things that will change, but that's the rule. It'll always do that. Not so with people, right? Lecture last time. I'm going to spin everybody out and see what happens, right? Some people are going like, okay, faith. We'll stay and see what happens. Right? Some people are like, okay, I like that. I'm going to stay. Some people are like, I don't. I'm going to leave. They have that faith. Maybe they'd stay. It'd be helpful, right? When you're trying to affect positive change, keeping that in mind that people are just going to do a whole bunch of things is helpful. One of the problems that you'll run with theories in our field is a lot of them are very, very deterministic. Right? Free will is a very, very big part of this, yet I'm going to analyze this as an equation. Meaning, this is what I'm looking for, and I'm going to analyze this till I determine, okay, when it comes to whatever this variable is, plus x2 plus whatever, it's like doing the math. I'll tell you if it really matters and how big it is. and whether it's positive or negative. Okay? When you go to apply that, that's the rule, okay? If I, say, positive relationship, if I increase whatever this is, the amount of, in this case, crime will increase. I'm doing something to people. I'm gonna decrease the number of businesses in an area, right? To some degree, that's true. To some degree, that's very deterministic, that some people are not gonna do that. Right? Figuring out where your theory fits in terms of what type of problem it explains. How it does so is probably the biggest thing. Keeping this in mind, because if you're trying to remember those rules and you're dealing with errors, it's like, by the time you get to the very end, you'll always have that error return. It's nothing's ever perfect. That's a big issue in general, because we're dealing with people. The other issue is theology. People adhere to these things like you're dealing with religious beliefs. That's not good. Okay? Marks of scholarship. Are you well read? You spend a lot of time reading. Worked on writing skills. You picked up some stuff like this because sometimes that helpful. This one. Can you play with ideas that are not your own and suspend any judgment to see what works? If yes, then you probably don't have an issue with this. That is not the rule for most people, right? Anytime you start throwing the word theory around, you can get any number of things. Whether you have someone who's well thought in society, like just a normal person, they'll probably think about this, right? Most people will think about either this or not exactly this, but you'll see. Evolution? The theory of evolution, right? People's misunderstanding of that 200 years ago is still a problem today. Maybe it was. I need to go back and look at specific theories. Yeah, because what people will do is they'll take some proposition for how things work, and that clashes with this. I don't like it. Yeah, then you don't get it. That's fine. But I'm stuck there. This is a good theory that if it's not properly explained, doesn't make any sense. And people mix it in things that it doesn't make any sense or to. Why that would interface with religion or anything like that makes no sense to me. Particularly if you actually study religion. It's like the whole thing's about making good things go forward. Why wouldn't it have a process? I don't understand. But at the same time, you'll get some things that are also confused with that. Conspiracy is a good term for that, right? This is a conspiracy theory. What's bullshit, right? Even if it's right, because it can be, it means it is not a theory, right? At best, maybe a hypothesis, an educated guess for why something happened specifically, but not a general rule necessarily. Did I mention in here the stoned ape theory? You ever heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
It's not one of ours. Is it a theory? Questionable. Basically, it's a proposition that as humanity advances and moved and spread across the world, it came into contact with certain substances. One of those were hallucinogenic mushrooms, which stimulated the cortex of people, causing growth in that area. That's, I guess, a theory. No, it's not. No, that's not a real theory. I mean, yeah, it's not here. Kind of in here. It's like it's in that territory of, is it real? Can I tell if it's real? That's the question. Can I question and see? That's what a theory should do. All right. This is going to give you a whole bunch of factors related to good theories versus bad theories, that kind of thing. The biggest thing is, probably this is a general rule for everything. Like, maybe that's where you can find some relationships like that. The better you fit yourself to the environment and the better you ready yourself for change, the more likely you are to, on survival, to see what you can do, right? Because there's no limits there. There really isn't. Yeah. So long as you do this, you'll be ready because everything else will do this. That's always evolved. These things sometimes get worse, sometimes get better, and you gotta be ready to deal with those changes. In this field, I can tell you right now, there are departments. The only department in a university that deals with this subject matter, you can find entire universities, that their singular department for this field is nothing but this. Nothing. Right? Not political, ideological adherence. Some overlap with politics because you have that underlying relationship between belief. As this is, it's belief. You test it to see if it works. Then you figure something out. Here where you run into it is with that critical stuff. Is it a good critical criminology school or is it theology? Yeah. Easiest way to find out. How I did it. One of the reasons why I'm here, this is such a great place. I didn't see any of that. On this side, it's pretty easy to identify. Your side's a little bit harder. What you would want to do is let's see how they do job advertisements for the people that they're hiring. We're Department of Critical Criminologists. We are only hiring critical criminologists. Yeah, you're getting away from this. You're moving over here. That's a qualitative thing. That's a really hard thing to get at. It all has to do with ideas. Some ideas are better than others. And the general idea is that if you're trying to understand ideas, this is the process. That's it. They use it here because it's baked into all the analyses they'll do, even when you say atheoretical. No, not really. You just stop and think about it. There's theory underlying it. You're just not specifying. Okay. So I'll give you Popper's definition about this. Crime prevention is washed with theory. That does not mean all theory is all practice. Like theory is equally good. Yes, no. Let's see here. The next thing we need to talk about, because he's starting to talk about crime prevention itself and where this fits. Now, we talked about the divide between academia and the field. You ever had that conversation anywhere? You'll find it less in places like this because there are so many close social ties. It's like gold, basically. Let me show you. Here it is. Okay, theory. That's a good way to look at it, right there. Theory. You're in your head, right? Practice. No, it was exactly like that. Yeah, look at this. Like you were off in the shit, right? And sometimes it's literal. That's a different research project. Yeah. This right here, part of this is the languages thing I think I talked about in your last class, because that's always going to be an issue. Communication is the biggest, like peopling, not good at that. Yeah, that's hard. Okay. give you this again? Write that in. It's a little further on, okay. So. When you take methods, you have that methodological process. Actually, we'll go ahead and outline it. That's a methods lesson, we'll take not even 5 minutes. Okay, usually you have whatever topic, idea, interest, whatever it is that interests you. Start to see what's all out there, maybe give you an idea of what kinds of things have been done. What kinds of theories do you think fit really well with that? Okay. From there, between the stuff that exists on your topic, the stuff that exists on your theory, you start identifying important concepts. Those are going to be the factors of things that they talk about, things that are important, effective. Next is measure. And that's whenever you're going to say specifically, well, when we analyze this, this is where we went and got it. This is how it was measured. This is how it was coded. This is how I analyzed it. That kind of stuff. And once you got this, next is analysis. Then you report your results and you're done. For most people, that's why there's this divide here. From there, what you need to do is, once you got this, you got your results. From there, you go into over here in the area of the applied. I'm gonna take what I learned and I'm gonna use it for something, maybe something good, like, okay, if these factors matter, can we make a change there? If we do, what happens? Right? As we do that, sometimes we do good things, sometimes we do bad things. It's a mixed bag. I remember if I'm interested in here, like everything political is both of those, right? And so what you do with politics is, since there are two parties, they'll highlight the negative of the positive thing the other party does, the positive of the positive thing that they do. Yeah, so there you go. Why did I say that? I feel like bitching. No, I'm just kidding. That actually has a very, very important. Very important. Okay. I remember where they talk about it in here. I wanted to say, this doesn't give me real page numbers. I don't like that so much. But it's probably somewhere down in this section right here. A couple pages in, it'll start talking about this. We have unanticipated, unintended effects all of the time, right? Everything we do is going to affect multiple people and it won't affect everybody the same. And so figuring out which of these actions or which of these effects is worse, not always clear, right? And in fact, that's often sometimes the most interesting thing to play with. You know, maybe it's we're really going to take some time, and as an entire discipline, we're going to focus on trying to help, and we're going to focus all of our efforts on maybe rehabilitation efforts, improving the quality of neighborhoods, and we're going to put a lot of resources to it for a few years to see what happens, right? That was like 70s thereabout. And kind of in the 80s, and then moving into the nothing works era, because as soon as they started doing that, it's we made things worse, right? Their focus on rehabilitation efforts, we spent a whole lot more money. The same people keep coming back. You're not having any effect because nothing works. I know you're trying to fix the neighborhoods, right? You send all these police officers to go meet people and kind of try to bring the community together. Like some places did that, some places it didn't work. But guess what? No matter whether or not you did it or not, it still had absolutely zero effect. Crime's still happening just as it was before. Nothing works. Like, no, what you're doing is you're not looking at the right things. Right? That's another part. Or you didn't consider this, which is the worst thing here. That's politics. If I said the Omnibus Crime Bill of 1994, the Safe Streets Act. It's like, the Safe Streets Act, its highest criticism is to make the streets less safe. Freedom Act, what did it do? The Patriot Act, what did it do, right? Same criticisms each and every time. It's always a balancing act. That's why one of the biggest symbols for this discipline is a scale. Balancing act. You don't keep those things in mind all the time. Well. Oh my. Ooh, that would be hot. I would say. We'll say it that way then. Like China in the 1950s. Right? What happened in China in the 1950s? History test. The Great Leap Forward.
Ooh,
Yeah. The
2
Great Leap
steps
Forward
back,
was
a
tens,
gigantic setback.
yeah, tens of millions of people dying, right? Maybe hundreds of millions. We don't know. We're off by tens of millions in our numbers. That's how bad it is. Yeah. This is important stuff. Okay. Next up. Ooh. I'm gonna leave this part right here up. You might be having a little trouble seeing it online. Basically, all it is just your topic, your theory, your concepts, measures, analysis, results. There's more steps involved a little bit, but you just kind of break into each of these and you get maps. You know how to break. But watch. Oh, I also forgot. Okay. So theory versus practice. Part of it is that issue. Part of it is also levels. Hmm. Federal, state, county, tract, neighborhood, street. I put that one in there. There are different ways to look at things, yes. Do it. You do it there. Right? That is the hardest thing about this field, about anything about it, is if you're doing it right. Ideally, you're dealing with an individual basis, which means it's slow. Individual basis. When we're analyzing it, we're not doing it that way most of the time. That's one of those disconnects, right? As you're trying to develop the rules that apply more widely tend to be generally more useful unless you're getting to something very, very specific. Like, I don't know how to word that where it makes more of an impact, but it's common sense, I guess. I don't know. Whether you're talking about analyses across the entire country, they'll tell you a bit about whether it's, we'll just say we're dealing with trends, right? Trends here are going to be very important for all these different levels. Trends here may not jive with here. We'll skip this one here or here, right? This is a top producer of drugs in this country, this state is. Well, yeah, maybe it's that state, but maybe when you get down to it, it's really like a couple of counties, and when you get in those counties, it's like 4 people. Right? They just did it, right? They know what to do. They know how to make that stuff. Right? They took the red phosphorus and I'm just like, yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's like, this is helpful. This is helpful. I need everything in between if I really want to understand it. And most people, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, so here would be direct. Upwards, more abstract, are going to be your theories. It's going to be baked into all these different levels. Okay. Note 3 bulleted items. 6 requirements. 3 bulleted items before that, man.
Okay, this is useful. Where's the second? Origin. I don't see that in here yet. Okay, so here they start giving you requirements for good theories. You're gonna find a lot of different ways that people do this. This is a good way to kind of look at it right here, because they're all gonna hit kind of the same kinds of thing. Concepts that you can articulate. Specify the relationship. So they're your propositions. You're in theory, when they talk about propositions, that's what you're talking about. Can you measure it? Can you test it? Does it explain? Does it account for causality? That's a big part. Parsimony, what is that word?
Parsimonious?
Yes, what does that mean? Yeah, that's it. Give me the most simple thing. Why? And Occam's razor, maybe? Simple works, right? Make it overly complex and you can't do it. It just won't function. It's like, ooh, here's a good example. Today, I'm sure you've all had vehicle issues at some point in your life, right? How frequent and how simple of a fix and how expensive kind of thing, right? As cars have gotten more complex, it's a lot more frequent that things break down and it's a lot more expensive. Like, go back 30 years, 20 years, you know, your vehicle maybe even less. You can get away with computers entirely, right? Now it's like, you get the thing too wet, it'll fry the entire computer system. Right? You just drive through a big puddle in the wrong time, wrong way. It's like that you're gonna need a new computer for your car, right? That wasn't a problem 30 years ago. Biggest problem was, can I get this gas to mix with the air correctly to get it to blow up? Okay, generalizable and supported by evidence. Those are good ones. Here, Felsen lists out 38 criminological theories. Talk about that for a second. These are a spider's web. They all are. There are general ways to classify them. But the best thing to do is to get in and dig in directly. Because you'll see that whether it's like the research articles you've read, the Supreme Court cases, or any court cases, these things are all gonna be a whole bunch of citations throughout it. Link it back to previous works. You delve into theory, or as you delve into research, what you're doing is you're joining into a conversation, and everyone who's been a part of that conversation throughout all time, they're the people you're talking with, right? Very, very important thing, very cool thing. Also, watch out for, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, good versus bad theory. Simplest way to look at it, is it useful? If it is not useful or impractical, get rid of it. It doesn't work. Every theory will have some type of function in some type of circumstance. You got to figure out which ones work with yours best. Best way to do that is come and talk, figure out what your issue is, you can focus on, and you'll figure it out from there pretty quickly. Criteria for goodness, plausible mechanisms, they do something to affect crime. Bjorgo 16 is in here somewhere. That one's a pretty good one. I think that one's coming next. What's his name? No, there you go. It's a little further. So those are those 6 that they'll give you there. Specifying plausible causal mechanisms. 9 general mechanisms. Another way to look at this section right here where it talks about, I'll actually highlight this. Make it bigger, but technology, it still has its limits. If I get it bigger, it starts making it look ugly. We'll start that. Yeah, highlight. That worked, good. Okay, moral barriers to criminal behavior. Social control. Right. Reducing recruitment into social environments and activities. Need some learning stuff there probably, right? There'll be other things too in all of these, but good ways to kind of classify how things work. 3, deterrence, you already know that one. Disrupting criminal acts. Some degree that's routine activities theories.
Ooh, my favorite story about that. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so what does that look like? Disruption, like in routine activities theory, you have those 3 points, right? Motivated offender, target, like target. You play with one of those elements, right? That's how you do it. My favorite example I've ever heard of it, I didn't hear about this one directly, but it was fun. So I'm gonna try it. Police officer. Right? Okay, you're gonna be engaging in this. Here's what I want you to do. Okay? You're to go into this neighborhood at this time of night, turn on your blue lights, drive at 5 miles an hour. Go from this block to that block. Turn, go this block to that block. Turn, here, there, come back. Do it again. Why? Prostitution. They're gonna set up at this corner over here. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna turn my light on. They're gonna see me coming. Oh shit, they're gonna scramble when I get close and move. That's the amount of time that they are no longer able to conduct business. Johns are no longer able to pick them up. All you're doing is you're driving around in a circle. Right? Works. Better find another way to do it, but you know, that's some of the stuff that they'll talk about there. Incapacitation, imprisonment, usually we talk about. Protecting vulnerable targets, reducing the harmful consequences of crimes, rewards, assistance, and rehabilitation. What's funny is this is learning theory and sociology. This is principles of learning, operant conditioning, Skinner. Right? We've had that stuff before. Okay. Each following point. So that one was causal mechanisms are the biggest part because that's going to be when you deal with your crime, you're going to see what causal mechanisms already exist. You'll be able to move from there. Speaking to the crimes essential for crime genesis. Another point there. Here they talk about routine activities theory. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the difference between genesis and displacement. Yes, does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay, so genesis creates new, displacement just moves it around. That example I gave you, that's just displacement. We're just doing it frequently enough that it reduces that opportunity. Okay, articulating the conditions for activation, deactivation, of relevant causal mechanisms. Basically, what they're saying is identify the thresholds when it's actually going to work. What does it take to actually do this? Right? How many people do I need to get involved? How many acts do I need to take to actually put this into effect? Some of these things are really, really simple. Some are very, very difficult. For example, if you get into the architectural side of things, it's really, really simple to block off a street, to change, you know, that kind of stuff. The actual architecture of an area does cost money, does take time, right? That's just one. Like you can. That's something good example. But we'll use that later. That's some stuff there. Okay. Here, yeah, they're talking about something. They use fire as an example. Conditions. Okay, here you go. Explicating the unintended outcomes. That's the section I was telling you about. That's every political action, right? That outcome there. You'll always have unanticipated, unintended effects. You got to think about things ahead enough to try to identify what those are going to be, which is basically put time and thought into it. And then, digging the literature, put time and thought into it. And then sometimes as you're doing it, you'll actually see it start happening. You have to go back and revise things. Okay. Backfire instead of furnishing otherwise law-abiding criminals. Okay, here's another example. Let's say, this is one of the methods I would use in terms of that. How you can do this and not need to. Nielsen. You guys ever heard of Nielsen, the TV ratings thing? No? Okay. How do you determine whether or not people are watching TV shows, whether they're popular, whether they're going to be canceled? That's Nielsen. What they do is they survey people to see who's watching what.
And so how they get people to take the survey, they'll send $1. Right? You complete the survey. $5, I think, or is it $2? Maybe $10? I don't know. They'll send a little bit more. Okay? Now you
Depends
got,
on how you get it, I
Yeah.
guess.
yeah, so it's actually, and it's literally just cash in the mail. It's crazy. You get it. Okay? You helped out with that purpose. I've got a drug addiction. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of crack and I'm gonna overdose. You just killed somebody.
Congrats.
Yes, that's exactly the kind of stuff that happens. It's like, if you look at welfare checks and those who have addictions, it's like,
Mhm.
you can literally chart and see, it's like, okay, those paychecks hit and then you see a spike in deaths for the next few days, right? It's like, Jesus, horrible, right? But that's part of this, and we have to figure out how to avoid that while still fixing things. Okay, crime prevention theories need to be stated in ways that make them open to peer tests. I don't need to go into that in detail. Morally defense, we already talked about that. Good theory with benefits. I don't know if I need to go much more into that. Let's see here. Where is that at? From 11. Or and I know it's in there. I know it's in there. Or- There we go. I know it's in there.
There's a dash.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to figure out, where did I jump over? Because I didn't put that much in the next point, which means there's probably not a whole lot in here that we've not already covered. Complexity, yeah, we talked about complexity. Relatively atheoric, we talked about that. It still has a theory. Yeah, we already talked about that. So that's where we left off. Good. In terms of theory, that. No, I'll say that. Problem-oriented policing was devised by Herman Goldstein in the 70s. UK, United Kingdom, the Office of Science of Policing partnerships. They're trying to move away from policing. Okay. This is going to be the same time frame as community-oriented policing, those types of things. You guys, are you familiar with problem-oriented policing? Had that any exposure to that in any of your other classes?
Yeah, policing.
Yeah. And so basically what they're gonna tell you is something to the effect of, sort of like community-oriented policing. What you're trying to do is you're going in, you get an understanding for how that neighborhood or that area is working, figure out what the problems are, and you start fixing those things, right? Whether it's social, whatever, right? You focus on the problems, not necessarily the people, not necessarily the crime, because that is, in theory, what's causing the crime. The process that underlies this what is Sarah? Ooh.
Pretty well timed.
Let's see if they came in.
Ask them.
I will.
Well,
Like, all right, pop quiz time. When their sound comes up, what the hell? Stop sharing. Yeah, now I can see it. I know what it was kicking it off to the second screen. I couldn't see. Okay, you got sound now. All right. Shalice, what is Sarah within problem-oriented policing? Let's see if you got a microphone. Very easy way to get out of it would be to say right now in the chat, I don't have a mic. Can you hear us? All right. Good golly, that's crazy. You can see the light there.
yeah.
I gotta move. I'm gonna start that too long.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe not Shalice, maybe someone else.
Yeah,
does.
well, okay, guys, if you can hear me, great. If you can't, let me know. Sarah, I'll go back to sharing the screen because you get it on the screen here whenever I do that. Bring that back up. All right. Sarah's right here. Okay, so within this area of policing, then they're dealing with the 1970s. Go back. We were down. You're gonna make me do more work. Actually, pick me back and run. Excellent. Usually it doesn't do that. Okay, so you're talking about policing research in the 1970s as they're trying to figure out how to figure out what the hell's going on. Sarah is the acronym for the process that they use to do that. This is what officers do on the street. They're supposed to be doing.
Looks like someone said something in the chat.
Excellent. Can't hear you very well. It's kind of muffled. That's interesting, because it sounds usually really good in this room because there are so many cameras in here.
Interesting.
Oh, it might be maybe it's using your mic on the monitor instead of.
It might
something
be.
else.
I don't know. Like I said, this thing has been.
Test? No, nothing.
I guess.
Test. Now it doesn't work at all.
That one.
Hello. There it goes. It's starting to do a little something. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the mic then. I'll have to go back and look at the audio. Hopefully you guys aren't getting it really, really quiet. If that is the case, I don't think I still have any video auditing software. right now.
Another one.
It's just very low. Okay. Sorry about that. That sucks. I like being loud. Sarah, scan, analyze, respond, assess. Same thing. Literally the same thing. Right? I'm gonna scan to see what's out there. Right, I'm gonna get an idea of what's out there. I'm gonna analyze it myself. All right, once I've done that, I've got some idea for what I'm gonna get, and I can start doing that and applying. Like really, you could say that this is both here and here. And then when you get here, you're actually moving back kind of circular, because you are. It's a cycle. This whole thing is a cycle. Once you get that application, yeah, probably more towards here than here. Results will kind of tell you that. But it is the same process. It's the same when you find that communication thing. It's you, someone else, your message. Here's the assessment side, right? As you're talking, that same thing. Sending it off, looking to see what happens, and then analyzing, make sure it gets back across. Right? Checking back in, that's that assessment side. You're just building the same process. You're already doing it for a whole bunch of things. You start doing it quite literally. One, what you can do with it massively increases. Two, any decision you'll ever face. You throw this at it, you got an answer. It's like quite literally. All right. Leverage. Really talking about here about leveraging people. Yeah. Which leverage of different kinds can be applied to those competent to prevent crime to do so. When they start talking about this is getting a little bit more in some of the prevention aspects where here, this is one process you're using on the streets to try to identify crime. Leverage is another way of going about and using the soft resources in an area. Here it mentions super controllers. Basically what it is, they're dealing with the guardianship aspects in not just the lack of a suitable guardian, but there are guardians for every aspect of what you're talking about. People who regulate the offender schedule, whether you're talking about the people who regulate locations, whether you're talking about security or not, or whether you're talking about just the access to stuff, like guardianship's gonna be there. It's gonna come in different forms. If you get people that start protecting things that aren't necessarily theirs, guess what? Your job gets easier, right? Sort of like that, what's it in here? I said, methods is essentially this lesson. Theory is the same way because those things are some. Give a person a fish, they're no longer hungry right now. Teach them how to fish. They'll never go hungry again, right? It's like, if you're hunting, knowing where animals are and how to capture them. I teach you that, I don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Idea is get your hands off it and let it fix itself as much as you can. That doesn't always work. One of the ways you can do it though is you can start getting people to take more ownership of things, more responsibility, and guess what? They take that burden off of you. Here. Here's another example of this. This is gonna go right back into this. In this field, if you see a map and you see this, what do you see? A red dot. What does that red dot represent on a map in this field?
An incident.
Yeah, some type of crime, some type of incident took place there, right? Fats, we'll talk about fats a little bit too, because fats will touch into this. Sometimes certain areas will take off and there'll be a lot of growth in it because a lot of people are interested in it in a given time frame. You have people who want to work the popularity side, they'll do stuff like that too. There's a big effort probably about 10 years ago called Green Dot. What it was is a whole bunch of training for people to, they call it bystander training. You guys ever heard of that?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's this concept 30 years later, 40 years later. Right? Same thing. Evolution. That's why we get into that deterministic aspect of it, right? It's useful to bear the adaptability of offenders in mind, right? Whatever steps you put into place, there will always be those who look to step in and step around, right? I put up a fence, someone jumped it. They'll figure out a way through it. You know, this not passive objects and preventative activity like pool, right? It's not pool where you're using it like I have this equation, I'm gonna hit this, it's gonna do it. That never works that way. There's a lot to be said about this. Probably 1 through 4. Yeah, 1 through 4 here. I'll actually give you a bulleted list here. 1 through 4 are really big ones. The other ones, really focus on those 1 through 4. Everything else that's a little bit more future oriented, but we'll talk about this. Good again. If I were to say the biggest area of crime growth in the last 10 years, and will be one of the biggest areas to continue growing within the next 10 years.
Cyber.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, how is that evolving?
Well, as technology advances, there's more, it creates more opportunities, more.
Everything gets a lot more complex in the area
Yeah.
you can screw around with, increase. And some of that's come along too. Sometimes it's just. That's computing. Not more to it than that, but like if you're talking about computer security, that kind of stuff, okay? What kinds of processes are you using to secure your area, your electronic stuff? how much processing power would it take for me to just strong arm my way through it, right? Start talking about, okay, so here are the different types of techniques, whether you're talking encryption, hash, any number of other things, that could be algorithmically related. It's like, those are all different techniques. You can build them like walls around your house. I can put up a whole bunch, right? I've got a motor in my house, 20-foot brick wall. After that, I got some razor wire, I got a few other things. If someone wants in there, they can still get in. Right? That is always going to be the case. A lot of this is just dissuading people and start talking about crime prevention. You don't want me. Yes, maybe you're out running the bear. Like, you don't want me. I'm a little faster than this person over here, right? You'll get that person, not me. These are some of the types of things that they'll do to use. They'll use processes, technique. That's not the word I'm looking for. Things that they'll use to put up walls. If I know which ones they're using, I can work that backwards, maybe figure out how that's avenue, use technique. Or if I've got a whole lot more processing power, I'll smash through it, quite literally, right? Always going to be evolving. As we design stuff, it's like, okay. Simple encryption was one thing, right? Hashing has to do with, what was it? You'll have your own, basically like a fingerprint that'll go in and read whatever is already encrypted. And if you don't have both together, neither one will work kind of thing. I'd have to get back and spend 2 years stuff with that stuff. Like, okay, this one's a bit more difficult. Computers today, you go back and it's like, okay, here are the techniques, the programs that they were using back 20 years ago. Here's a laptop from today. Your laptop from today will hack right through it without a second. No, that didn't mean anything. Correct. Always evolving. Every single aspect of this is always moving forward. That's sort of why I had that conversation last time. Why don't you guys start pushing yourself? Because this is something that evolution, we'll look at that another. If you prepare yourself for today, you will find yourself ready for a world that no longer exists tomorrow. Right? Prepare yourself for the future as best as you can, and maybe that's a good process forward. Okay, signal crimes. Here's where they start talking about fear. How much do you want to know about fear?
Define.
Good.
Define fear.
Good question.
Fear of crime?
Yeah. That's probably one of the biggest things I think fear related is. That's, yeah, we'll have part of that discussion. Here, what they'll tell you, concern has been expressed in terms of public reassurance, reduction of fear of crime, effects the latter have on people who fear crime. Yeah. Fear is one of those topics that's going to have a wide effect. Research in that picks up the 1960s when they first started identifying in the political governance sphere where they first identified fear as, hey, it's like, it's not just the crime. We actually see a whole bunch of stuff when people are afraid and they do a whole bunch of weird things. That's really not good. It's like, okay, so we do need to deal with this as well. I remember this book where I started doing analyses of putting dollars to it. Let me scroll forward. No, they didn't. Good. Looking at you real quick, because I think they might do it then. No. Good. Excellent. Yeah, no, that's not where I had yet. You did right the first time. This time you suck. Okay. This area is one that's sort of like, there are a number of areas where they'll start to do this. They'll start doing dollar figures, calculations, all that kind of stuff. Be very careful with that. It's good to do that. It's good to have that information for making arguments. It's a good way to leverage in resources. But that's where you start getting into back into that, is it real kind of thing, right? The dollar figures that they'll put to this, is that in any way real? It's really, really hard to say. That'd be like saying, if I gave you the dollar figure for raising a child from birth until adulthood, they'll give you a huge figure for that. And it's like ungodly. What is it like? Is it 200,000, 400,000, a million?
A bunch.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so what it is maybe you're trying to say, no, don't have kids. Whatever. Like, is that number real? No, that's all bullshit. When you have kids, yeah, it's gonna be base needs, emergency stuff, that kind of stuff. And that's gonna look all over the place because it's all over the place. It's like, okay, the average income in this country is, I think it's somewhere in the mid-30s. We'll say 35K, right? The families that have kids do not come from houses that have this as the income most of the time, right? It's gonna be even lower than that. Okay, that number's all bullshit, because that's not that. Oh, it's like you'll have people who've got a lot of money and they'll throw exorbitant amounts of money at it to make it go away, I guess. I don't know. There are ways to do things that work and don't have those dollar figures. God, I almost want to launch into it.
About the cost of raising children or
Well, no, just the cost of things in general. It's here.
it's ridiculous.
It is. It definitely is. It's gonna be more pronounced in cities though, where it's even worse to some degree. Some things are cheaper, yes, but not always.
Because then you have to pay for the cost of convenience.
Well, forget what I started thinking was like the value of work. I grew up in a community not too unlike this one. It was smaller though, it's opposite people. It was most interesting to me is, you get to see probably farmers in terms of, okay, here's how much work they have to do. Here's the dollar figure that people will say their property's worth, and their food's worth, and all that stuff. And then if you go and talk to them, it's like, yeah, maybe worth all that. If I don't bust my backside every moment of this day for these time periods, it's like it's all gone and I got nothing. So really, functionally, I'm barely in the black. Most of the time I'm in the red, and this stuff is difficult, right? What they've learned to do is to get away from that whole monetary thing and just do the work. Because when you do that, fucking money isn't real. It literally isn't, right? They'll be like talking to you guys about programs, trying to sell a program, and come in and start talking about, you can travel all over the country for free, basically, if you do the work. Like, I can start by talking about the travel. I can get a whole bunch of people. I can see the ones who do the work, you'll travel. That kind of thing. So like places like this, those figures don't really apply at all. And so you can do a whole lot more. It's really, it is, man. When we start talking about fear, I'll give you the brief. Maybe you're thinking about fear as a subject. It's like I got a big body of articles and research and stuff like that. I've got up most of that 60 years, right? So not all of it. There are some big pieces I'm missing. I got a lot. Cognitive, emotional behavior. Okay, that's fear. Okay. Fear, you have this and you have this. Have I talked about fear yet?
Not very much.
Okay, it's after nightfall.
Spooky.
Yeah, we'll say sometime within the next hour or two, we'll let you out. Okay, you will go out there and wander out in the dark to find your vehicle songs. Anybody nervous about that? I got one who's nervous. You got two.
I mean, I'm gonna have to walk home, so.
That's more dangerous. That's a little scary, right? That's that. Right? Whether it's the walk through the unknown, whether it's the term paper. Right? That's fear. It is. Dread, maybe? Question mark, we'll just hold that over there. Emotion, it's like the emotional side. You guys have felt afraid before, right? Yeah, that stuff sucks. That sucks bad. What do I want to tell you about that? Let me give you the word. Phobia? You got anything else? No. Every now and again, you'll run into people who've got like something weird, right? Some of my favorite ones, I've not seen anybody in person had it, but I've seen depictions of it. Aluminum foil, right? Weird, something completely unreasonable, and you see someone react in a way that is completely weird, right? You start clinking on aluminum foil, that person can get up and run out of the damn room and like start heaving kind of thing. It's like they just can't handle it. There's some type of trauma there kind of thing. Spiders. I used to have that one. Sometimes I still do. Yeah. Like, is it touching me? Yeah. Like, yeah, that's a good one right there. Okay. '60s and 1990s, that's kind of good stuff. After that, they started looking at this stuff too. Every single article that's followed since this time period, though, has to spend inordinate amounts of time just talking about what they mean when they say fear of crime. Like it's because it got to the point where it's most interesting thing about it. I mean, a little bit like this. Doesn't it look familiar? Phobos and Deimos?
Phobos does. I don't know about Deimos.
Okay. Astronomy, is that part of the core here? Undergraduate core, astronomy, is that included? I've never.
You can take it as a
One of them, but there's probably a couple options.
yeah, because you can take it's a physics or it's not a lab science.
Mhm.
You have the core requirements of this or that, and I took geology instead.
Understand. Right. Okay. Yeah, any of you gamers, I'm not thinking. Doom, 1990. Mars and the moons of Mars. Phobos and Deimos are the two big moons of Mars, right? Like, I think even the new Doom game actually said it back in this area again. That's 2016, 20, I mean, they were.
That's kind of cool, right? What makes it really cool is this right here, because this is also people several thousand years ago trying to figure this stuff out without knowing how to measure or count. Mythology. Mars is what god? To give you a hint, you look up at the night sky, what do you see? What does Mars look like? Okay, think about crime when you see red. Blood. War. Mars is war. The sons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos. Phobia and dread. Right? Wife. Aphrodite, I want to say. Love. Right? So somewhere between hate and love is fear. Right? And that's gonna look like for them. My favorite accounting was can't remember if it was Caesar. I remember the guy he was facing against. It was a guy by the name of Darius. The night before, Caesar was on the hills above making sacrifices to Phobos, killing people on the hills to try to instill fear in Darius. It worked. That scared you fucking man, right? That was all avoided because you instilled that fear right here in motion. Right? Dread's always gonna be there. Term paper still at a distance. Presentations are easy. Kidding.
That one's,
Yeah,
I'm like,
It's like- that's why I studied this. I grew up, I was very afraid a lot, right? No, not anymore. I just can understand it a little bit. Still get pretty afraid sometimes. But, yeah, that's this section. That's this right here. This is 30 years to get back where we were 3,000 years ago. You lost the lesson. Dark Ages, guys, that's what that was. At any point in time, we're on the precipice of that. If you're not holding all this information in your head, guess what? When that thing goes off, it's gone. It will go off. Not today. Not this year,
thankfully.
but at some point it will. Even if it's for a brief period of time. That'd be like saying, for the next 6 weeks, you won't be able to buy toilet paper. If we go to war, that will probably happen with this. They'll be person. I mean, real war, not like we've had like the last 60, 80 years,
Yeah.
World War II. Okay, signal crimes conclusion. Yeah, there's conclusion. What else did I want to say? There's a few. Good. Your stuff's good. Man, I'm drawing a blank. There we go. So that was about an hour and 20 minutes. That was for the first page. Second page. The articles. Something else I want to type off here. And the article. I hate whenever I have fleeting thoughts because sometimes they're really, really good. Remember them? We could do something with them. But I can't. So we'll move over here.
Got more chat bubbles?
Ooh, thank you. I can hear you pretty well. Can't really see what it says on the board. Yeah. I might be able to actually increase it. Let's see. Hold it down. Whoa. Whoa. You guys can't even see that on the screen though, because it's missing. If I did this and said, stop share for a second, then you can see it is in way in. And what's funny is Zoom is actually more responsive than this little pad over here, so I'll see the change here. A few seconds before I see it. Over here, which makes no sense to me. There's no way that should be bouncing through another program before it runs apart, but that doesn't. Okay, back to this. I'm gonna bring up this. And this is. Okay. Okay, learning modules, the first sets of readings. Yeah, I guess I'm familiar with that. So. What? What are these? A whole bunch of articles. That one's some chapters in a book. I don't think I have any other books up there. I got a lot more books. Got a lot more articles. Right. You know what these are? Hmm. Felsen was 38 theory. Here, give me Felsen and Felsen. Conan Felsen, 1970. Over here. Felsen, 1979. Social change and crime rate trends. A routine activities approach. American Sociological Review. This is what started that theory. This is the source of that theory. Right? Anytime you cite that theory, this needs to be somewhere in there. Right? There's gonna be a long chain there. You have it. You can read that yourself. Why would I give that to you when that citation's already in there and the book tells you?
Cause this is like the whole thing.
Much greater detail. Oh my God. Yes. What else? Okay. This is why I had the discussion I had last time, because this is something. Before COVID, it was something that we would all talk about informally, one-on-one, as we're dealing with you daily. But after COVID, everyone shifted to online, so it gets a whole lot harder to do that, which is one of the reasons why we're trying to push more in-person stuff, which I know is more difficult, but will cause you to save the time to come in and do this, because otherwise, finding the time to read all this stuff, write all that stuff is difficult. I'm making you kind of schedule it, right? It's transformation. This whole thing is a transformative process. You're not the same person you were when you started the undergraduate. You're not the same person you will be at the end. It is difficult, but most important facet of all change is what? Better way. Ooh, I'm gonna go with video game reference. If there's any video game nerds ever listening to this. This one's from The Witcher. If you were to bake a cake, what is the most important ingredient?
Okay.
Hell yeah, right? That's the thing that takes this and egg, flour, sugar, whatever the hell you got in, actually get a cake. And you don't get wet slop, and you don't have black smoke. Right? Time. Time. Always of the essence. You need to have balance and take time for yourselves. That is fucking essential. Sorry to say it like that. I had that lesson last month. No, the month. No, that's still last month. We got one more day. Hey. Do it gradual, but give yourself some time. Right? Last discussion. How much of this are you gonna do on your own? How much of it do you want me to give you? The more you take that step out on your own, the stronger you are, because you got me watching you. Two, the more fucking dangerous you are, right? You read this now. Why? Because in 10 years' time, it's your fucking book up on the screen. Okay. Conan Felsen. I don't know if I need to go into detail. You guys know that one. You've had a lot on that one.
It's a bit better thing. Oh, that's excellent. I wish it'd pop up a little ding, to let me know when chat comes in, because I can't always see that. This one, is there anything I need to tell you about that? There's a lot here. So one of the things that they'll do is they'll place that theory. Here's where this theory stands alongside other theories if it's a brand new proposition. Sometimes you'll get things that are more useful. Okay. Routine activities theory. More routine activities theory. That's Shelson in 1980s. We'll talk about it in a second. Okay. Bursick and Webb. A lot of Bursick stuff's gonna be down here with social disorganization. Sampson and Groves, that's going to be collective efficacy. That's sometimes tied in with this. Sometimes you're just dealing with neighborhood processes, right? Sherman, 1989. That red dot, that's his. Every time you see that, that's his. Right? Every single time. I don't remember if I had it in this one or not. This is not the full copy of Sean McKay's book. It's a selection I got, schemed in whenever I was in your shoe. Quite literally. Yeah, that's where I got all this stuff. I was in your position, in your exact position. That one actually got, I think it's the week before the semester started for my very first semester, right? You start setting yourself up for that transformation, and by the time it gets here, you're already done and there's no effort involved. Small effort over long periods of time built. This one right here. If you read his full book, I know it's in there. I think it's in here towards the end. What you'll see is this book says 1972. It's not really 1972. It doesn't give you. I actually did give you the introduction. Okay. Yeah, I also need to get rid of the annotation and stuff because I don't want anybody to think that they're the chosen one. So towards the end of this is where they start getting into some of the stuff where they're start predicting the future. I don't think it's in this because this is looking like it's sort of the end. Down. I might be in this one because now I see it. Yeah. So he starts identifying other theories. Here's where he starts talking about. Right there, you can tell someone said Sutherland. Yeah, because he's tying in learning theory. He starts doing theoretical integration, proposing new theories that aren't used for another 30 years. Finally, in the next 30 years, someone decides, hey, I want to read this old book. But there's an idea here. I can go do that and go print this, and now my name's up there. Right? That's how it works. You are joining in the conversation. So if you want to, that can be you. Not hard if you do it in the right time scale and you apply yourself the right way. It does take a lot of dedication and consistency. And I can't do it for you. That's the hard thing. I haven't figured out how to motivate people. General theory, that's enough of that. I'll tell you more about those theories in a second. Okay. So the thing with books, make a lesson on social media in general. Because that's what that is. A book is a form of media. What do you see with media today? What is it that they do? Make money. Money's nice. You need some level to survive. That's good. Two, biggest thing. They'll play with those perceptions. Fear of crimes perception thing. There are a number of aspects where we can dig into just perception within crime prevention. I can show you how perception, you can play with it, you can create fear, and you can take it away, all kinds of stuff. What books do they play with perceptions? I'm going to present this information to you. How I go about presenting it will change what it means.
right? Start writing those things. Now your influence has changed, right? Right now, all of media is set to where it monetizes violence, and the more bad shit that happens, the more money it gets. Well, you start doing stuff to balance that out, start putting your ideas out there. And in time, I don't think, and in time, society gets a little bit better. Okay, do I have to plead public? Yeah. Yes, they definitely do that. They'll use that to affect society, right? And it also depends on who you write it to. Some people write books like this, where this, like this thing right here. This is for people who are interested in criminology. Some do not. Some people write for the money. They're gonna write popular things.
Right, and if you can get someone to pick it up or believe it enough, regardless of if they were looking for it or not in the first place, you've planted that seed in there, and so it becomes the narrative, whether or not it's true in the
Yeah.
first place.
You start affecting the landscape, the landscape of the conversation. That's the big thing. That's what I want to see. Not right now, not in 5 years. 20? We can do that very easily. Okay. Another underlying lesson, and then I'll show you how this stuff works. This right here. This one's, I don't think. I know this in here. See if it'll show me anything other than the fact that I downloaded it off of Google last night. No. Let's see. Downloads today. Properties. No, details. Yeah, tell me when it originated. No. It's versions. No. That's gonna download all offline off the internet. That one I literally saved like 15 years ago. But what I want to show you is this. Linking criminal choices, routine activities, formal control, and outcomes. Good example of war on drugs. Yeah, that's another one. Oh, there's a lot of those. And the best thing is no one knows what's best when it comes to drugs, like literally. Attempt to link two currently influential theories in criminology. This is from 1986. Theoretical integration. New. That is also 30. How many years ago? How many years ago would that be? 38? 38 years ago? Theory integration is now commonplace. You can pull multiple, right? So biggest thing I want from you guys are the topics you're interested in. Right? You start there and then we play. We play quite real with real data, real information, because some of this stuff you won't get till you're actually up in it and doing it yourself. Another thing. I don't like that. You'll hear me rant about that. I do not like ego. Don't have one. You're gonna meet people who've got a lot of them. Sometimes they'll act like that, sometimes it's not. They'll act the exact opposite, and other people are doing with them. Keep putting them forward, like, oh, this guy's great. I don't know what I want to say. Okay. That's the next thing I want to talk about. Think. Not good. All right. Yes. Yes. Ownership of theory. We'll talk about that. Few lessons think about. Okay. Cohen and Felsen. Routine activities theory. did this in here. Maybe they didn't do it. Good, I'm hoping they didn't. I need to go back and look at that. Sometimes they'll attribute that theory solely, right? Because he is the one who continued working in it. It is evolving. It's like there's to some degree ownership of ideas, to some degree not. It's like use ideas, you'll see where to build as you do it. Here, if you're taking theory, I'd be doing replications, reformulation. No, I didn't talk about that. Okay, that'll be next week. I'd have you outline propositions, that kind of thing. Here's how the theory actually works, right? Here are the elements of it, that kind of. Since this isn't a theory class, I don't have to do that with you. If you want that kind of stuff, let me know. We can do this. What I'm saying in terms of this is that, you know, first step or anything will be replicating. You replicate it, good. And you can do it, right? After that, you move into reformations is one way they classify it. And we're going to take this theory and we're going to change maybe one thing, maybe a couple of small things. Does it work better, right? In time, as you're doing that, the theory changes or you get new theories. So it is something that builds out. From here, as you're clicking through this, like you can see, okay, now they're starting to link these theories together. You'll also see, I think I've got another one in here that maybe I don't. There are more. If you want more, I can show you where it's like that. Okay. This author now he focused on this element of the triangle, and he's now identifying out new factors that govern it. That kind of thing. Sean McKay is old. Sean McKay is social disorganization. If you want the history of criminology, that's a good place to start. Right? They pick up in the, technically, I think it's the 1890s. Sean McKay itself, their research was several decades, 30s, 40s, and 50s. I don't remember. Keep them. Come on. It says it on page 2. All right. I want an introduction. Don't tell me about that. Whatever. What's going on there? Get knocked out. Hold on a second. Okay. Interesting. Must have disconnected. Okay. Connecting to audio. Connected. Excellent. All right. And now, okay, good. So you got that connection back. Share screen. Okay. So as you've gone through this, not really intro actually begins. There we go. Addendums, addendums, addendums. Here we go. And it jumps from there. Distributions of delinquencies in Chicago. That's what they did. Crime prevention, right? History, Chicago. Basically what they did is they watched waves of immigration for several decades. Historically speaking, what you're looking at is the ports of Chicago, one of the major entry points to this country, just like the ports to New York. And in this time frame, what they were doing was delinquency, juveniles. They started by mapping the city and seeing where the crimes take place. That was Parks and Burgess. That was their mentors of that same institution one generation before. They noticed that, hey, if you look at how the city is, where these people are coming in, is also the port, which is where we have the industry, which is where we have all the people who work for the industry, which are poor people. There's disrepair, and that's where we're sticking these new people coming in too, right? Massive increases in crime because you're having to adjust to everything in this new world, basically. And guess what? It takes about a generation to do so. There's a whole process involved in that. You can see that process. Here they outline it in terms of invasion, succession, and dominance, right? That's what you start talking about. New population, demographic changes, or whatever it is that identifies your new population. As they come in, This new area, they come to the areas where they can afford, which is they have very little resources. Crime is rife. A lot of them commit crimes, they're trying to figure out the world, and then over time, a generation, their children are not deviants, they're not criminals, and if they're lucky, they've moved out of those areas. They've assimilated in the culture. Oh my goodness. Nice process when it works. Doesn't have to work like that, but usually does. With that, okay, that's how that one works. Okay, this is the process. Okay, what are other ways to look at it? Okay, first and whip. That's the one I'm thinking of. 'Cause I got a few persons. Yeah. Community change and patterns of delinquency. Right? As you're reading this one, 1940 to 1970, using Sean McKay's own data, that's what it was. 40s, 50s, 60s, 60s, 70s. So instead of looking at the data for those years, those time periods, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, here's what we did. Okay, I have numbers for each of these things. 40s too. Right? Now I can look at these things in terms of, we'll say, neighborhood demographics, populations, right? And I can see that in the 40s, it's, we'll say, 50% white, 40% black, 10% Asian, right? In the 50s, it's 45% white. We'll say, I'm gonna have to do math and I don't want to, we'll make it more round. We'll say 40% white, 40% black, and 20% Asian, right? You use those numbers as you're in the model, it's like that will give you one picture of those numbers. Another thing you can do is look at, actually, let's do it this way. This number minus this number, this number. So our number is now, okay, it's now 40%, it's 35. Okay, so there was a 5% decrease, right? Do that for each of the different ones. That change, I'm gonna look at these changes here to see how they affect crime rather than these numbers themselves. Different analysis using the same data, and now you got a different picture that tells you something different. Reformulation. Hard stuff. It seems, it really isn't. What do I want to tell you there? Cornish and Clark is rational choice. Depending on what types of issues you want, maybe this is the area you focus on. I don't know, maybe. I'll tell you a story. Too long. Maybe I'll tell you after that finish. Ask me about my worst presentation of theory ever, and I will tell you a good story. Okay, so those are all places to start whenever you. Have you guys been thinking about topics for what you want for your term paper? No, you're good. Start with E2 and then someone. Ideas.
I'm thinking something along the lines of immigration.
Okay.
The only issue is it's such a broad topic that I'm having a little trouble.
Focusing it in.
Focus, yeah.
Okay. Start here. Go out into, I would start with Google Scholar. Just start there as a broad one and just put in the words immigration and criminal justice and look for research hires to see what pops up, right? Just start there and just literally start with the titles, and anything that sounds interesting, just take a second, click in to see the abstract and see if it's something like what you're thinking about or something's like, hey, I wanna give that a try. Okay, bring that next class.
Focus on the, on juveniles.
Okay.
I started with that, capstone,
Mhm.
kind of focusing on that as well.
Mhm.
So I'd hate to like.
Yes, I haven't looked at capstones. That was stuff we do on Mondays. Yeah, I haven't had any time between Monday and today. Tomorrow, that'll be tomorrow night, probably maybe Friday morning. Okay, yes, definitely overlap because you don't want to double up work right now, especially at this stage. Yeah, good. Okay, so you'll be swearing. Working on that, that's good. And then in terms of y'all online, here we go. Yeah, Bailey, Tristan, and Shalice. I want you guys to be thinking about topics you want to research into. Do you have any ideas on things that interest you now? Yeah, we need to find the pen again. No, I had that earlier. Don't write that down because I may take a little bit of time. Probably Friday morning. No, that takes some stuff up for you. We've got immigration, juveniles, and African American community. Okay, so there's a lot. I mean, that's one of those things that, oh, okay. Base of the pillar, right? One of those foundational things that affect stuff, races. Yeah, that's gonna be a huge thing. Oh, there, what was it? Look back. I lost my- it's four. Oh, there's a whole bunch, I know what it was, it's a methods lesson. That's one of those things that, I don't think we talked about it here yet. Maybe I did, maybe I mentioned fast, because it's one of those things that kind of identifies people have to look at stuff. Racism, institutional racism, systemic racism versus individual level real racism, wildly different things, don't confuse them. But one of the major academics in our field related to that, in the last couple of years, was fudging his numbers. You know, like that led to a whole bunch of stuff, retractions and all that kind of stuff. If you guys want to see that glorious of a crap show in the publication that came out as a result, let me know and I'll see if I still got that in my emails. Like, 'cause that's one of those things that's like, okay, we got everything we need to learn related to community safety, crime prevention, all that kind of stuff. You have everything related to the program you need to take with you, right? You're gonna be dealing with people, so you need some skills on how to do that and how to interface with careers and it's like businesses, systems, organizations, you're talking basically the same kind of thing. So we'll work on each of those areas as we go. See. Yes, please. Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
The rest of them.
For attraction, you guys want to see that, because that's what that is maybe a little bit of faith within this system. It's like I can also identify, I think it was was it the dog rape studies, I think is what they were doing. That was off over in the Northwest. There was a group of academics who they decided to test the peer review system. Purposely tried to conduct research without notifying anyone that they were being involved in research, so that's what they do is okay, let's make a whole bunch of shit up that's gonna play with people's ideologies and see if we get the adherents to accept it and publish it into top tier journals. And it did, right? That wasn't this field though, so we're lucky there because like we haven't run into that because that's a bigger problem. Retraction itself is a big problem. That's another. There's but we fix problems. That's what we do. Let's see here from there. Let me write that. Okay. From there. We've been in here for how long now? It's been about 2 hours? No, not quite 2 hours yet, right? Almost 2 hours. Okay. It's a 3-hour class, right?
2:45.
Okay. Anybody tired yet? You guys getting there? Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I came from work. My
Been here
8 to
since-
5.
Yeah, those are always nice. That time thing is, like I said, Two people you'll do battle with. It's probably good to look at as people. That one, life. Life's a bastard sometimes, right? The biggest thing to keep in mind is the pacing, and you set your own pace to some degree. I'm gonna try to, always be trying to push you a little bit harder, so you feel you might get to where you don't like me, that's fine. But if you feel that way, let me know, because I don't mind, right? I had a whole year where I was called Dr. Asshole at my last university. It wasn't fun, because they got stressed out a little, because they were doing some hard work. Okay, yeah. Fun. But that time aspect is one you really need to keep in mind as you move forward, because it's gonna be, it's like any type of performative art, right? The more you practice it, the better you are for it. If you're gonna go in and do a weightlifting competition, it's like, take some time to do this before you go in, right? You're not gonna walk in like me and go, oh, that thing's 600 pounds, I'm gonna pick it up. It's like, nothing moving. Like, the only thing that's gonna be moving is my ass to a hospital,
Yeah.
right? It's like something's gonna break, something's gonna pull, and I'm gonna start crying. Yeah, like you don't wanna try to pick that up in no time, right? You wanna take time to do it. You're in theory right now, right? Are you in theory as well?
I am.
You're in theory, are you in theory too?
I've already taken it.
You've already, that's right, okay.
I took
For
it with
you,
our.
And
did all
then
the
if you're
double.
online, I hate that I can't see you there and you're behind me. I keep forgetting about you guys because I keep looking at that screen and all I see is me. And it's just a reflection of it.
It's like, really?
Yeah, I still see you. Evidence of that. Look at the stuff I posted out for this week or the next couple weeks. For the things that are articles that are in there that I downloaded directly off the internet, I didn't have to scan in myself. That cover sheet's gonna tell you the date that I accessed it. Look how long ago that was.
Yeah.
Right, you've already seen that. Start building today what you want to be tomorrow. It starts now. The task. Yeah, I have a task for you, right? This one is, I guess you'd say, in-class work, not gonna be tied to an actual assignment. Why? Experience. Okay, over here. Let's see, this one was sent to me, from me. Had an attachment. Can't remember what I named it. There you go. I'm gonna pop this out here for you guys. It's a scrap, it's supposed to be scrape. Scrape data for all counties. Okay, that's not quite. Maybe it is. This one's completed. Okay. This is what you'll end up with. This. Every county in the state. Oh, you guys online, you can't see that. Probably very well. Let's put this up here for you. Let's bring share screen. Yes, that one. Okay. So this right here is what data looks like. Unless you're handling it, it's like you won't really know how to set it up. I mean, you'll have the information you need, but getting into the place where you can actually use it and it'll run is the hardest thing. And you won't know how to do that yet. So I'll show you some stuff. Right. Every county in this state. Crimes reported, index crime arrests, drug arrests, alcohol arrests, total arrests, right? Murder, rape, robbery, assault, breaking and entering, all those categories across all those things. This is relatively straight stuff. I don't think I mentioned this in here. You probably had another time. Took lots of doing earlier. UCR versus NIVERS. NIVERS is a lot more detailed. UCR is really, really accessible. This is UCR stuff. This is UCR data for our state gained from where? Where if you're wanting UCR for this state, you're not gonna go to the federal level. Where would you go?
OSBI.
Yes, State Bureau of Investigations. They track all of this stuff. You go on their website. It's this one right here. I think. Granted, this website was a little hard for me to find. A lot of the navigation website stuff is really difficult. I don't know how people get through the internet stuff sometimes. But look, this is a singular county, and here what it does. Here is a report on all of the reported crimes, all the index arrests, all of that stuff. Okay. If you're gonna understand how this works, maybe we start with understanding of how it works, right? There are people who get a whole bunch of reports, and they gotta figure out how to classify these things and track the numbers. What we do on our side is, you got some numbers. Where's the meaning? When can I do something with it? And what can I do? First thing is, let's see what we have. Where are things at? It's usually a good place to start, because this is all very specific in place and time. We don't have the time element. We got one measure. So this is 2020 data. It doesn't even say this on there. This is how, in terms of, they kind of fix that. I had to go and cross-reference it with the federal numbers to see which ones they start to match up with. For every single county. Districts, regions, maybe only one classified as that. I don't know. Each of these. To get it to where it's something where you can actually use and analyze, you need to get that information on this page. All of the 76 others across each of those. Into, just leave that back up. This kind of a spreadsheet right here. Right, that was when it was in process. Not a difficult task. And in fact, I have asked others to do it first. Right? Why? I test multiple people on multiple things. I need to see what you guys are good at. No one's good at everything, but you guys got good skills and stuff. Like, we can start showing you how to use that for good things. That'd be like me saying, what's the difference between a good employee and a bad employee? Be like, if you're giving them proper amount of latitude to do the stuff you need them to do, it's really hard to tell, because for a long period of time, you won't have anything because they're working on it, right? You won't know until the end when it's like, where are they really working? Okay, that's the point of the last class discussion. This one's start building your page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop, I thought I had it in here, an unclean or unfilled out version. Master students, what else? That's a different class. No, that's a different system. Okay. I'm gonna put that out there for you guys. I'll put it out there as an in-class assignment. I won't put any points on it. We'll say it's at will. Because I want to see what you will do. Right? Monotonous will take some time. Probably not that much time. You're probably looking at a few hours of tedium, probably about, I'd say 2 or 3 if you really did it, like maybe less than that. And then we'll talk about that one next time. See what you guys thought about that. And I'll start showing you what you can do, what you just did, right? I talked about how this field is dangerous. The whole point is getting dangerous. It's like, I quite literally, this class is the one on how you protect things. So all you need to do is do the exact opposite to destroy. It's like fucking crazy. Like, this can be really dangerous if you want it to be. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to teach you how to be helpful to humanity. And so it's going to start there. Is there anything else I need to talk about? OSBI data entry. Yes. After that, I'll give you more marching orders. Because what I'll do, give you a little bit of experience in how to work these things. As you're doing this, you're going to see how that thing thinks, right? Anymore, that thing literally thinks, but that's different. I want you to start using this to augment your abilities. Because that's what this thing does. You start learning how to move this data around, all of a sudden you'll find in the course of a few short weeks, now I can move massive amounts of information around, and I can make it make sense and tell you what it means. Right? That's danger, because now you're informing people and now they can make better decisions. Okay? Any questions? No? Have fun. We're gonna get out of here. It's dark out. I'm hungry and cold.
We're very hungry.
Yes. All right, well, we'll call it a day there. I'll pop that up probably within the next couple of hours. You'll have until next class to work on it. Like, if you get time, great, take the time to do it. By all means, if you can do it, do it. If you can't, let me know and we'll switch talk, because what that means is, yeah, I gotta find some other way to start showing you how to think like this, because once you start thinking a little bit like that, you can analyze stuff, right? I'll teach you about the crime prevention stuff and how to think about that. How to think, not what to think. I'll give you opinions. I can be an asshole, right? The whole point of Dr. Asshole. The story about the worst presentation I had ever seen on rational choice. I laughed my ass off the entire time. I had a gangs class where undergraduates, it's gonna be lower level. I'm not expecting anywhere near what I'm gonna be expecting from you guys, and I'm not gonna expect anywhere near what I expect from a PhD student, right? And that's gonna be nowhere near where I expect someone with issues. They gave me a 20-minute presentation. It was related, it was a gangs class. They chose routine act or rational choice. Explain the theory to me, show me how it works related to gangs. That's kind of the marching order. Not too hard. Got a 20-minute video where they showed me a gang shootout on TV and stopped every few seconds and paused and see, that's a rational choice. Duck behind that car to not get shot at. What are you talking about? Hilarious. Like, I laughed the whole time. And then it's like, when I got done, I was like, man, that is the worst one I've ever, everyone started laughing. It's like, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, no. I'm like, yes, the underlying tenet is they're making rational choices, not the causal processes there. You miss that whole thing. If you miss that thing and you walk out of here thinking that, it's like, that's a disservice. I like things like John Wick. I am of service. I will serve, right? Yeah. In this field, that kind of stuff's dire, because there are times when, depending on what actual branch you go into, what you're actually doing. Yeah, you might have to do some shit like that. There might be somebody trying to kill you. Right? We're gonna go very, very slow, very, very easy. We'll take time. If you do find that it's overwhelming at any point in time, you get stressed out, come talk to me. Don't disappear, right? That's the big one. Because at that point in time, usually it's a conversation and all of your words are gone. Okay, good, we can keep moving. What I'll tell you about that. Transformation is a difficult thing. Family members, I'll talk about that for a second. Different fields do different things. One of the reasons why I highlight where the world is at, because I want you to start thinking about that and your effect on it. Right now, prospects of war. It's like, for us, it's not really anything tangible or real. For a lot of people out around, it is. If you've ever been trained for war, not me. Do have family members who used to do that, train for that kind of stuff. There's two ways to do it. The kind way and the mean way. Right? Every train can be done that way. I can do it the kind way or the mean. People reverse the two. That, yes, but also no, right? To be kind can be mean, and to be mean can be kind. You are feeling pressure probably a little bit with some of the classes you're getting from me, yes, maybe a little bit. It's good. That pressure, I don't want it to be meanness, it's not. That is kindness, because if there are real pressures, you're prepared for them, right? A family member used to, one of those things to train people for going into active combat. It's like, got a lot of complaints, a lot of his people lived. Whenever the complaints got him out of that position, the number of deaths associated with that increased, right? Which one's the worst one? I don't know. I do know which one I would do though. right? That's you today. Start getting ready. Have fun, because this can be fun. Some of it's gonna suck. Not in this class though. That's just life in general. But not bad transformation stuff. Don't be well into it. I just should remember that off the top of my head. Sorry about that. 2 hours of sleep. It's probably about 3.5 now, because I got a nap between last class and this one. That's the nice thing about this kind of thing, is you have some flexibility over your schedule. Some degree you do this to yourself. I don't know, there's stuff wrong with me. But we'll start there. With that, do you have any questions?
Are there like instructions on how you want that set up? Do you want it set?
I'll
up?
actually give you the template, it just won't have any of them filled out. I might leave one line in so you can see exactly how it looks, because it's literally you're just, you go to that first link and then there's links to all the other ones, and you literally just look, okay, that's 11, you can go 11. It is very, very monotonous. What it is it's a lesson on open source intelligence. It will tie directly into crime prevention. It will also make it extremely dangerous. Now you can start doing more stuff. This will be fun, right? So this is the stuff that I do in my free time, right? Give you an idea for some of the danger that you get in here. This is at the aggregate level. You want to do it at the individual level, I can tell you everything about anyone in here if I wanted to, without touching any of the systems here on this canvas, right? Because most of you have publicly accessible information. It doesn't take much for someone to start leveraging to find everything. It is creepy as hell. It is disturbing. It's why I recommend people stay off social media and stuff like that. But that skill set's kind of the same when I'm going to be teaching you, because I'm going to teach you how to do it at my aggregate level. So you will be dangerous. Don't use it for bad stuff, but watch what you can do. Okay? Cool. Any questions? All right, you want to call it a day? Cool. Oh, I missed this online. Can you repeat the task? That was a couple minutes ago. Sorry about that. I really wish this thing had that's that. Might help if I stop this, because I might be able to do this and see it a little bit better. Yeah, so it'll just be filling out this template. It's just a straight Excel file. If you don't have Excel, what you should do is download it and drop it into Google, and then it'll let you open up other sheets. And I don't think there's anything in it that will run funky. That'll be a different conversation we'll have next class. We start talking about things that are funky. All of these things have bugs. You've seen some of that. Some of you see some of that stuff. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a patchwork thing. It sometimes is getting these analyses to work. It's very finicky. But I'll show you how, right? And sometimes it's that same thing that you're doing with computers. It's like, you got that process, great. It's like, that'll make it easier. If not, you're gonna be going with that power thing and power through. That's what I want to see, both of those, right? Willpower, willpower. You'll start changing your own minds. Okay, with that, we'll call it a day for here, for now. If you have anything you need, anything you want, anything more, only an email away. And I'm getting faster at answering them. But if you have any old emails out that I haven't responded to, if you don't send them back to me, I won't see them for a while. It's just too busy. With that, have a great evening. Enjoy some freedom and have some fun playing with some stuff. I'll have that pretty shortly, and you'll have it soon. Will you just be inputting numbers from? Yes, that's exactly it.
I recommend a split screen.
Yes, split screens are better, or alt tab, hold alt hit tab, just let go of it. It'll switch you between whichever viewer you're looking at. And if you hit tab multiple times, it'll bring up another pane. It'll do this right here. You hold alt hit tab, it'll bring up this thing right here. Tab will move through each one. Shift tab will move you backwards. I'll start teaching you commands like that. They'll help move faster through things. That'd be like Control C, Control V, Control X, that kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of commands like that. And when you start getting into some of the stat stuff, it gets even better because you can actually program it to run itself. Yeah, then you're hands off. You do it for me. Yeah, that's the point, right? We'll make you guys dangerous. So with that, have fun. I'm glad you're here. Don't love the fucking cool. I did not say that.
Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.